Hi and welcome. This is Kelly with the Yoga on Main online studio. I'm here today to bring you a Yoga for Strength Trainers class. I had a special request to do a class like this, a little bit of a shorter version, but some great poses that will help make the muscles long and lean and help your strength training workouts. What I find is most helpful for people that do strength training, weightlifting, bodybuilding, or CrossFit are yin and restorative yoga practice. Those kinds of practices really open up the connective tissue, give you that length in the muscles, in the body, that give you the space to make some gains, make some changes in your workouts. But I find that people that really like high intensity, hard workouts have a hard time slowing down enough to do an entire yin or restorative class. So I really suggest it if you're willing to give it a try. Otherwise, this is a great option. This is a little bit of a shorter class. We'll do some longer holds to create that length in the body. And then we'll also just try some things out that you can play around with at home to stretch after a good workout or that you want to explore deeper. So today we will need a blanket. Any blanket that you have at home, a throw on the couch, something like that is perfect. And then we're also going to use the wall. So if you can position your mat close enough to a wall, I'll give you some options if you don't have one close by, but that's a great option to have a wall close by. All right, so go ahead and gather your props, get yourself settled, and we'll take a few moments to breathe. Roll the shoulders back and down. Flip the palms so they're facing up. And then relax the elbows, relax the shoulders, lengthen the back of the neck. And we'll just focus on our inhale and exhale. In through the nose, nice and slow. And out through the nose. A few moments in a centering practice is a great way to just get the mind and body on the same page. Get ourselves ready and prepared for what's to come. At the end of your next complete exhale, we'll drop the chin to the chest. At that time, you can turn the palms down, holding onto the kneecaps. And then we'll inhale, bring one ear all the way to the shoulder. Exhale, we'll draw the chin back to the chest. And inhale over to the other side. Exhale back to center. Try that same rhythm a few more times. Go as deep as feels comfortable for you. Try to release that tension through the shoulders and the neck. Softening the eyebrows and the muscles of the face as well. At the end of that last exhale, bring the chin all the way back to the chest. Roll the shoulders back and down, start to blink open the eyes, and we'll lift the gaze back into the room. All right, so we're going to start off just seated on the mat with the legs out in front of you. Hands are going to be positioned behind, and we'll be in kind of a V shape between the thighs and the chest. Hands can be pointed out to the side or behind, whatever feels best for you. We're going to take the right leg and cross it over the left knee. So that ankle's kind of placed on the knee. Good. Start with just a little movement side to side, and we're getting into that right hip. You can decide where to place the left foot according to what feels good for your body. So you might slide that left foot in a little deeper, sitting up nice and tall, and that's really going to get into that right hip. If you're not feeling that and you need a little less, walk your left foot forward. Give yourself more space. Good. Feel free to keep the hands behind you, but just make sure you're not building up tension into the shoulders. So we don't want to sink into the shoulders. We still want to keep the spine long, just like we did in our centering practice. Keep the breath steady. And if you're still feeling good there and you want to go a little deeper, then you can go ahead and reach for your shin. So we're going to reach one hand around the foot and the other hand around the knee. Sitting up nice and tall again, left leg can extend forward. So you come more into an upright position, holding onto your shin. It can be hand in hand, or you can bring the pinky edge of the foot into that elbow crease, almost cradling your shin. Okay. Take a few breaths here, especially if this is really intense. That's the best time to breathe when you come into those intense positions. And as always with yoga, this is something that we're finding what works for your body. So just because I suggest something doesn't necessarily mean it's right for you at this moment. So I'll give you lots of options through this class. Take 1 or 2 more breaths. And then we're going to take the right hand to that right foot. You can hold on to the toes, the outer edge of the foot, and we're going to reach it up. The knee might be bent, or can straighten out, whatever feels best for you. And we're going to start to get a nice long lengthened hamstring stretch, as well as we're going to round the head to the knee. Just see how far you can go, what feels good for you. A little rounding in the shoulders. And then when you're ready, release that foot all the way down. Good, roll the shoulders back and down. And then hands positioned behind, and we'll walk both feet back in. Inhale here. Exhale, cross the left ankle over the right knee. Start with just a little movement side to side. So a gentle rocking can help us decide which areas of the body are a little tight. We use this more for observation, noticing what's going on. Good. If it feels okay, you can slide the right heel in a little deeper, pushing the chest forward, getting that shin closer to the chest. While we're here, we also want to try to pull this left knee away a little bit. So you can even push it away with a hand, making the shin more parallel to the chest. Good. We'll take one more full inhale here. Feel free to stay in this position, especially if you don't want to hold on to that shin. Otherwise, we will reach our hands or forearms around the shin, holding on. Lengthen the chest up, so straighten the spine, and then extend that right leg forward. So you come up a little bit more forward on the sits bones, and we cradle our shin here, either holding on with the hands or the elbow creases. Focus on the breath here. Think about breathing a little extra space into that left hip. Good. Take one more full inhale. And then as you exhale, we're going to take the left hand to the foot, stretch it all the way up. So you might just come here to a bent knee position, the knees kind of coming into the armpit. That's perfectly fine if you're holding on here. If it feels okay, you can stretch and straighten the leg, and that may not be quite right for you. And then lengthen the chest forward, squeeze the elbows in, shoulders slide away from the ears. Steady breath, one more inhale. And then exhale, we'll let that leg release all the way out. Good, roll those shoulders back. And then we're going to cross the shins, roll over the shins into a tabletop position. Good. We always offer the option, especially if you have a blanket close by, to place that under the knees. That helps give you a little extra cushion. So use that if you'd like. And then push down into the hands. We're spreading out the fingers so you can see the mat between each finger. We look for those pizza slices between each finger. And then we root down through the entire palm. That helps protect the wrists. Eyes of the elbow, right here on the inside of the elbow, are facing in towards one another. Good. Push down through those hands, and you're going to start to pull the chest forward as the belly drops down, cat-cow. Exhale, release it all out, come into your cat. Inhale, glide forward, tailbone sticks up towards the ceiling, and then exhale, release. Take 2 or 3 more, and feel free to build up that movement to be a little deeper each time, remembering the pressure in the hands is pushing down through the whole palm. And then the pressure in the feet is all the way from the knees to the top of the feet. Good, last one here. Take your time, move with the breath. Coming back to a nice neutral spine. And we're going to come into a puppy pose. This helps open up the shoulders. So you can see here, my back is nice and flat. I'm in a neutral spine. I'm going to keep my hips over my knees as I walk my hands forward, okay? Your chest may not come all the way down to the floor, especially if those shoulders are really tight, so you can stay right here. You can also bring your forearms down, but you want to keep that butt sticking way up in the air. Good. If that feels okay for you, you want to go a little further, try bringing the chest and the armpits closer to the floor. The chin will come down, and we'll begin to breathe here. Good. Checking in on the neck, making sure you're not causing any unnecessary tension there. Settle into the breath, creating that space. One more full inhale. Exhale all the way. Push into those hands, slide the forearms back, hands back. Good. And then roll those shoulders out a few times. You can shake the head side to side. Very similar posture. We're going to come up into a downward facing dog by walking the palms forward, slightly out, wrists are slightly out in front of the shoulders. Tuck your toes under and lift the knees up off the floor. Press the chest all the way back. Keep the knees bent and give the head and neck a little shake, yes and no. Good. From that position, keep the chest pressing back. You're looking towards your big toes, and then see if you can straighten out the legs, and you don't have to, especially if that's too much for the shoulders. So keep the knees bent if you notice your shoulders start to round forward. Steady with the inhale and exhale. Then we're going to start to bring some movement into the back of the leg. So just bend one knee deeply, push the other heel close to the floor, and then switch it out, other side. Try that a few more times, just feeling that deep stretch through the hamstring, heel all the way to the hip. One more each direction, or each leg. Back to center, even out the hips, and then back down to our tabletop position. Good. We'll pause here for a moment, bring the knees a little bit more narrow, so bring them together, and extend the right leg back. Tap the toe to the floor, reach the left hand forward. Opposite hand and leg are extended out. You might just stay right here with the fingertip and the toe on the floor. If you want a little bit more space, more of a stability challenge, try floating them off. Neutral spine, so we keep that core engaged and we lengthen the tailbone. Good. So even though we're not holding on to any extra weight, we're not adding any reps, we're not pulsing up and down, try to find the challenge here. What can you bring in and what can you let go of? Make sure you're still holding on to that breath. You're still finding that even inhale and even exhale. We'll take one more full breath. When you're ready, come back to that neutral spine. Good, just bring those hips side to side. Little release to the back of the legs. And then bring the knees together. Left leg extends back, right hand reaches forward. Check in, maybe find the floor, and then reach it up. You can do just one hand reaching, one just the leg reaching with the fingertips down, or both. Gazing straight down at the mat, keeping that neutral spine, pushing into the floor, but also lifting up and away from the floor, so getting a little lighter and longer with each breath. We'll take one more full inhale, find that space. Exhale, we'll lower it down. Nice job, bring those hips side to side. So we're going to do that one more time, stepping into a lunge this time. So push down through both hands. Right leg extends back, left leg forward. Inhale all the way. And then exhale, left hand down, right leg steps in between the hands. If it doesn't land where you want it, toe heel it the rest of the way there. Push it forward, and then lean. Good. We're trying to get a stretch through the back left thigh. So hands come up to the thigh, right thigh, and roll those shoulders back. Good. We'll gaze forward, and then we're bringing the momentum, the weight forward to find this opening through this left hip flexor. Okay. Take a few breaths here. Feel free. If you're feeling enough here, you can stay right where you are. If you want just a little bit more, we're going to reach this left hand up and reach it over to the side. The right hand can stay on the knee, or it might start to reach down towards the floor. Good. Breathing where you are to find that deep stretch, running all the way down from that psoas muscle, the front of the hip, down into the top of the thigh. One more full inhale. Good. We'll bring those hands back up. Check in on stability. Both hands down. Step back with the right leg. Good. Even out the pressure in the hands. Step the left foot back. Right hand forward. Inhale, create space. Exhale, right hand down. Left foot steps forward. Good. Lean forward. Roll the shoulders back. Get that lift first. Check in on your stability as the hands come up to the left knee. So we're shifting forward, getting nice and deep in the legs. And see how that feels. Each side's going to be different. Each time will be different. Just do what makes sense for you. Option to reach that right arm up. Getting just a little opening through that right side body in order to create that space. And then, of course, you can bring the left hand down. Keep those hips reaching forward and finding the breath. One more full breath. Exhale, we'll come back up to center. Check in on your balance. And then back down. Step back into your tabletop position. All right, we're going to come back into child's pose, knees wide, toes together. Wiggle the hips back towards the heels. You can make a little stack with the forearms for the forehead or bring the forehead all the way down. And we're just releasing down towards the floor for a few breaths. Good. At the end of the next exhale, we'll slowly work our way back up. Okay. So we've already opened up the front of the thighs a little bit, and we're going to do a little bit more with the blanket and the wall. So what we're going to do is have that blanket pushed up all the way against the wall, and then you're going to take right leg to the closest to the wall. The left leg is going to step towards the center of the room, and toes are going to face towards the center of the room as well. As you inhale, you're lengthening up, and then exhale, you're going to bring both hands down on either side of the foot. Lift the back leg and pivot so that the toes are pointed up towards the ceiling. A lot of pressure will be on that little area right above your kneecap, that kind of fatty area at the bottom of the thigh. We don't want any pressure in the kneecap, so adjust, make sure it's in the position that feels good for you. Double up your blanket if you need more. You're probably already feeling that opening through the front of the thigh. You can stay here. If you want some more, place the hands on the shin and lift up, pushing into that left foot. And then, of course, if you want even more, you can start to lean the torso against the wall. As you do this, you're trying to line up the heel with the outer edge of the hip. So it's probably hidden here. You probably can't see it very well, but it's just very barely aligned with the outer edge of the hip instead of the center of the hip. Okay. We'll take a few long inhales and exhales and just find that opening running down. Again, the front of the hip all the way down into the top of the thigh. At the end of the next exhale, we'll bring both hands down. Good. We're going to pivot the same way we came out. So We'll walk those hands and pivot the foot back down. Good. Pause, reset for a moment. And then we're going to swing around to the other side. So left leg will be facing the wall, and the right foot will step towards the center of the room. Okay. Inhale. Walk the hands to either side of the foot, and then swing that leg up. Okay. The closer your knee is to the wall, the more challenging it will be for the quad. If you want a little less, walk your knee further away. Walk the hands up to the thigh, and then push into that right foot as you lean back any amount. Maybe a few inches. My shoulders are still a few inches from the wall, which is a great place to be. If you need to keep your hands kind of leaning forward, that'll take a little more pressure out of that quad and, of course, out of the knee. Breathing where you are. So we come into these deep postures, and then the breath is what gives our body the message to release and let go of a little bit. If you ever get into a posture, though they may be intense, and you hold all that tension, and you hold the breath, then your body thinks that it's not in a place of relaxation and it needs to tighten everything back up. One more full inhale and exhale. Good. As you're ready, we'll walk those hands forward. Start to pivot that shin down. Good. And then we're going to come back to our tabletop position on the mat. Okay. All right, so those legs should feel really good at this point, and we're starting to get into the upper body. So we're going to come into a dolphin pose. As we set up our hands, we want to create a triangle with the forearms, interweaving the fingers and bringing the thumbs together. So setting that up first, we'll bring the elbows directly under the shoulders, and the pinky fingers are down on the floor. Good. As you get into that position, push down into that triangle and make sure your elbows don't go any wider than the shoulders. From here, take an inhale. Exhale, tuck the toes under and push into those forearms as you lift the hips up or the knees up off the floor. First thing we're going to do, just like downward dog, press the chest back. Good. Check side to side and make sure your shoulders are behind the elbows. Keep your knees bent. The other thing we want to make sure of is that our head is off the floor. So we don't want our head to be resting on the floor at all. You're going to feel a lot in your shoulders. Feel free to stay where you are with the knees bent, or you can start to straighten out the legs. Good. Settle into the breath and take one more. We'll lower back down into our tabletop position, just sitting on the heels. Good. Roll it up. Shoulders go back and down. Okay. All right. If that was enough for you, if you're really feeling that in the shoulders and you don't want any more, then you're going to keep your hands in that position. If you do want a little bit more of a challenge, you're going to bring the forearms parallel, side by side, like you're making the number 11. Trying to make a perfect line from the middle finger all the way to the elbow that is directly under the shoulder. So let's give that a try. Okay. As you push down into those hands, check in and make sure, so we don't want it to look like this, right? We want to keep those elbows wrapping in, and that's going to get that external rotation in the shoulders, which makes it more challenging. So push down into those forearms, root down into the elbows, tuck the toes under, and then press the chest back. Head is hanging, you're looking towards the center of the mat. Shoulders are behind the elbows, and we're breathing here. Just noticing what feels different about this than when we just did it. We're building up stability and strength in the shoulders, but we're also getting a nice deep stretch. From here, if you want to go a little bit further, Try pushing down into the hands and gliding the elbows off the floor into a downward dog position. If that felt good and you want to try to lower back down, try to do it at the same time, lowering both elbows down. Give it a few more rounds. Inhale and exhale. Good. Try to make it a smooth transition, getting that strength, stability, and that stretch in the upper body. Good. We'll do one more. Good. From here, we'll go ahead and walk back up to downward facing dog first, and then walk the feet and the hands together to meet at the center of the mat. Good. Coming into a forward fold position. Great place to find that opening through the back of the legs. Your knees might be slightly bent, or you can start to straighten out the legs. Good. Inhale, we'll rock forward onto the toes. See if you can get a little lighter in the heels. The legs don't have to be straight to find that space. If you have a wall close by, you could push into a wall to find that stability. You can use a chair seat. Good, and then lower those heels down, but try not to sink the weight into the heels. Keep the hips stacked over the heels. Okay, we'll take one more full breath in that forward fold. Maybe the legs get a little straighter for that last exhale. And then root down into the feet, bend the knees, roll up the spine one vertebrae at a time. Roll the shoulders back and down. Root down into the feet and then check back in as you come up to stand. Inhale, we'll sweep the hands out to the side and then reach them back out as you fold all the way forward. We're going to walk back out into our downward facing dog. So bend the knees, walk the hands out, walk the feet back. Good. We're going to start to come forward from our downward dog into a cobra pose. So inhale all the way into a plank. Good. And then exhale. We're slowly going to begin to bring the knees down towards the floor, bend the elbows, and squeeze the upper back together. Shoulders stay away from the ears. From here, push into those hands, roll onto the knees, back to downward facing dog. Good. We're going to try that a few more times. Inhale all the way in your downward dog. Good. Exhale, come forward. Plank pose. Lower knees, and then the front of the hips down, and then bend the elbows. Good. So you still want to keep a lot of lift in the chest, but not so much that you're letting the shoulders come up towards the ears. And then push into the hands, tuck the toes under, back to downward dog. Nice job. This third time, feel free to do the same thing, or you can come right into upward dog where we keep the arms straight and you use that strength in the upper body. Inhale, forward plank. Roll all the way onto the top of the feet. Think about sliding the hips towards the back of the wrists and then push into those hands as the chest pulls through the upper arms. One more inhale. Exhale, roll over the feet again, back to your downward facing dog. Good, great job. Inhale. And exhale, back to child's pose, knees down. And we'll slide it all the way back. When you're ready, roll it up. And we're going to finish up today in a legs up the wall position. So, of course, you can use the wall, like the name says. If you don't, you can use a chair seat, and you'll just bring the calves into a chair seat. So, what it looks like to use the wall is to sit on one edge of your blanket's still right against the wall. And you're going to take your outer hip, the one furthest away from the wall, and you're going to start to come onto the outer edge of that hip. Your butt's going to slide up against the wall, and then you're going to come down onto the elbow. Good. Scoot a little bit more so that butt gets in line with the wall, and then come down onto the shoulder. Good. When you get there, swing it up, swing those legs up, and extend them straight up towards the ceiling. Good. This is a great passive stretch for the legs. Helps release some of that effort from the lower half of the body. Gives us a little shift from walking around all day. And a great way to end our class. Good. If you prefer, you do this pose a lot and you like to have a little bit more height in the hips, that gives the benefits of an inversion. You can fold your blanket or get another extra pillow to have under the sacrum. And then extend those legs up. Good. If you're using a chair, your knees will be bent at about 90 degrees and you'll have the chair right under the calves. As you get yourself comfortable there, getting situated, we'll roll the shoulders under the back, and then we're going to extend the hands out to the side. Take a few long inhales and exhales, just settling into the body, letting go of effort. Take one more full inhale and exhale here. You're welcome to stay in this position as long as you need. Otherwise, we'll start to wiggle the fingers and toes, roll out the wrists and ankles. Bending the knees so the feet slide down the wall, and then we'll just roll onto one side. Good. Take that top hand, gently push your way up. And then coming to sit on your mat. When you're ready, you can gather those hands in at the heart center and just take a moment to observe the mind, the body, the breath. Thanking yourself for making this space to practice. The light in me honors the light in each and every one of you. Namaste. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment on our videos, and we will see you soon. Bye-bye.